Hey, howdy, and hello there, folks. Welcome back to T1A. I'm Tank. That's Mike. Today we're talking about running backs, handcuffs, and backups to hold on to. You know what? I think we should just get into this here. All right. Running backs to hold on to. I think, Mike, you get to start the fun bus on this one today.
My first guy is Alexander Madison. It really speaks for itself. It's not like a secret or anything out there. It's just in the landscape of the running back in the fantasy world here, getting a guy like this in the later rounds where we all know starting running backs are going to get hurt. There's a lot of people taking on zero RB, craziness shit. I would never do that. Hero RB, he's a great candidate for that. It's just basically guys that are set up for the best situation if the person in front of them goes down. So Alexander Madison is a perfect candidate for that. Every time Dalvin Cook has gone down, he is more than capable of taking the reins. Minimum. In the 3 games that Cook missed last year, Madison had 60 carries for 254 yards and 3 touchdowns and 13 catches for 104 yards. Madison's the last year of his rookie deal. Here's where his dynasty appeal really comes in. And there's a definite possibility that Minnesota will not be able to retain him. He won't be restricted. They're not going to pay a franchise tag on this guy, right? They've already got Dalvin. They're going to pay that much money for another running back. Madison's going to be out the door. Cook is signed through 25, and he's still a major cog in this offense, especially now with Kevin O'Connell coming in. I think he's going to fit in really nice. And so it might even make his career a little bit longer because he's not taking all those up the middle run. Madison gets free of the shackles Cook has placed on him. He would have the ability to hit free agency and decide where he wants to play next year. I think in terms of the long game, Madison's value has a lot of potential to skyrocket during the 23 offseason. If he's getting interest from other teams, that's going to continue to give him value bumps. Keep in mind he is 24 years old, so by the time he's into his next contract next year, he's 25 years old. So he's still landing spot dependent. But if he's just going through free agency and you're leading up to it and you're hearing teams are talking to him and you just want to back out because you don't need the guy for 2 years or you don't think he's going to be all that great, guarantee Madison's going to get you a second-round pick and to the right person, maybe even a first-rounder, but I kind of doubt that.
Yeah, it's hard to sell backups for a first.
Yeah. But even then, though, in the next year, if Madison goes somewhere let's say the James Cook experiment in Buffalo doesn't pan out and they could sign Alexander Madison, I think they would. And I think that's a really good fit, right? Because I think at that point, and I'm maybe talking out of my ass, but I think Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, they're both entering the last couple of years of their rookie contracts. And nobody else, James Cook, he didn't get a lot of investment put in him. So I'm not really that worried about him. The other thing to keep in mind with Madison is the new offensive scheme coming in. It's going to be a Sean McVay-based scheme with Kevin O'Connell coming across. The Vikings offense, we all kind of grew to love and hate equally on both sides of that. It's now possibly shifting to a more spread out but still run heavy approach. This is good for the Cousins, JJ Jets, and all the other offensive weapons they have there, but I think it's really more speaks to where the running backs could be. More potential for routes ran because of the way the system plays out, so that's more potential for catches, better box looks, and more scoring opportunities. All these things are like a recipe for fantasy running back success, right? Opportunities. Yeah. We all know that a target is worth more value in a fantasy football format than a carry is. So that helps both of these guys out. If you're the Cook owner or just a smart fantasy player in general, get Madison in the late rounds, shore up your backfields, or snipe him from your league mate. Shit, that's what I like doing. I do, because then you get to hold his ass ransom to the guy that has Cook.
Yeah, definitely. And you've been big on Madison for a while, especially as a handcuff. Can't blame you there. He shows out every time he gets the opportunity. It's just when's it going to be his turn on an offense?
Yep.
Looking at what he done in place of Dalvin, big time handcuff. Those are the guys that you're going the zero or the hero RB. You need somebody like him back there hooking it up.
Yeah, even if you have Cook, if you go hero RB and Cook is your hero RB, spend a pick on Madison. I don't really believe there's anybody that I could think of right now, and anybody in the comments could go ahead and tell me how wrong I am, but I don't think there's anybody right now that is in that value of where Madison's at that I'd rather have. And I would just go for another running back later on, but I would want to make sure I had a piece of this Vikings backfield this year.
Well, and the value, like you said, you're getting him at, because there's just that newness bias that comes in. Oh, there's rookies, and they shoot up above these guys for what? They haven't played yet. Madison's already shown he can do this stuff.
Definitely.
For me, I got Khalil Herbert from the Bears. Definitely sees some opportunity with the contract stuff coming up, his workload success, and his potential workload. David Montgomery going into contract year 25. He'll be 26 when the 23 season starts. We all know that's the scary age for running backs.
The cliff age.
They've got Darrington Evans. He's signed for 22 and 23. And Khalil's signed all the way through 24 because of his rookie contract. Last year, Khalil handled the workload successfully from week 5 to 8, having 18 to 25 touches in each of those weeks. Only scoring 1 touchdown, but that's really, Chicago's offense was not efficient. Not enough to give him opportunities to really make things happen. He's not a big super breakaway guy, but, you got to at least get on that side of the 50. During that time, he still averaged 86 yards per game, and even had a 100-yard game at one of the peaks. Now, Tariq's gone, poor guy, trying to do a workout video and blows an Achilles. Ugh.
That's just bad luck, man.
That's just
terrible.
Well, and the knee injury he had, it just lingered, and yeah. So it was time to move on anyways. So there's going to be room on the team to utilize another receiving back. It's not likely Khalil. It'll likely be Darrington. But, David Montgomery misses time. Khalil's going to be put in. They're going to be a good shuffling and rotation of all the backs. Ebner, I don't know what he's going to do, but he's there too. Probably not a whole lot.
Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah. If you have a few decent running back options in a big roster, I'd likely take a third, if we're going to trade Khalil. But for the most part, I'm going to keep him. Montgomery goes down, and you got a great guy right there just waiting. He's already handled the workload. He could throw 3-down capabilities. He could just take it back over at any time. Very much like Madison, but not to the same degree. I think Madison's just had better production overall. Yeah, we get to the end of the season. There's no contract or anything for Monty. Yeah, it's going to be Khalil's season next year.
See, and that's what worries me. That was one of the things I saw in your notes, and hopefully I can get this out right so that people can understand why it's worth trading for Herbert right now or just getting him late in your startups. What you're getting him for right now, the price, right? You could sell him to the David Montgomery owner for that price plus in most cases, just because you probably sniped him off of the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're even value, right? There's a scenario, even value. If the season plays on and Montgomery gets hurt, you're going to sell Khalil for more than you invested in him, right? So there's upward value. So now he has potential for more upward value. If Khalil makes it through the whole season, Monty plays, he doesn't miss any time. He goes in and he has contract issues with the Bears, right? Like they're trying to re-sign him, they never figure it out. And he goes, hits free agency and signs somewhere else. Value boost for Khalil, right? No matter what you project him as or where you're at, instant value boost way above beyond what you invested in. The only position in which you lose value with Khalil is if David Montgomery gets re-signed by the Bears and you're still going to get a value plus from the guy who owns David Montgomery because you're going to offer him up Khalil Herbert because now you realize like Herbert's not going to go anywhere for another 3 years or 2 after this year.
Yeah.
And Montgomery just signed a long-term contract. And
if he goes long contract, second contracts are 2 to 4 years at most now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then they're going to be looking at the future of the franchise. Is that going to work with what they're doing with Justin Fields? Is that what they're doing to the passing game? Like,
I would be, with what Khalil did last year, I would be really surprised if Montgomery got a contract that he was okay taking.
Yeah.
Right? He's still in like prime-ish years. I know not fantasy-wise, but running backs still produce really solid numbers in their 26 to 28 years.
Well, and we're just seeing the cap hit of running backs just get lower and lower. There's not going to be Zeke deals out there anymore.
They're all going to be short-term.
Jones.
Yeah, they'll all be short-term ones. Just like Aaron Jones, it's his voidable contract years and all that kind of stuff they had. Very team-friendly when they built it, but still very – it got Jones paid, right? Because he hadn't gotten paid yet, so that was a good thing. But yeah, if that doesn't happen and Khalil ends up being just the backup to Montgomery, you're still even value. The main point of it is in the end of it, if it's beginning of the football season next year, August, and you still have Khalil Herbert on your bench, he will have not lost any value from the previous summer where you drafted him at.
He's only gained value since last year.
Yeah, he's only going to gain value or stay par. So he's a safe bet.
Yeah, that's hard to come by in the fantasy world. Who else you got?
So I got another obvious one, but trust me, I feel like I make up for it with my other two. So even though they are a little bit obvious, whatever. Fucking who cares?
Jeez.
Whatever. So my second guy here is Tony Pollard. Being stuck behind a talent like Zeke the first 4 years of his career, Pollard's definitely been trending upwards over the last few years. Last year, Pollard was able to get more involved in the offense. He played on 30% or more of the snaps last year in all but 2 games, which is an increase. Posting career highs across the board and solidifying his potential as a lead back. Pollard had over 1,000 yards of scrimmage last year and was able to bear some of the weight that Zeke couldn't handle from that torn PCL. Pollard showed on film that he is currently faster, more agile, and he's a more all-around explosive player than Zeke is. Zeke signed that monster deal, and you can see it hampering the hell out of Dallas right now.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think the Cooper deal had anything to do with that. I just think that they had to pay him market value when Cooper was there, so Cooper got a wide receiver value for market where he was at then, and they knew that it would be probably a year or two, and that wouldn't be a fair value deal.
Well, they didn't have Lamb yet when they signed Amari, did they?
No, they did when they gave him the extension. They had Lamb.
Oh, okay.
And then the Zeke deal, and then you had to up Dak, and like they're stuck. Like they're not gonna. My point here is that they're not going to be able to re-sign Pollard because they can't franchise tag him because that's way too much goddamn money.
Right.
And you might as well just fucking pay him.
You're not going to get an RB2 on a team with a franchise tag.
Right. And so chances are he's going to hit free agency next year, and Zeke will be the back, and they'll just draft again and go from there. I'm honestly really surprised Pollard hasn't had any kind of trade talks around him this year, unless maybe he just doesn't have that much of a market. But the beauty of it is in a fantasy market, in a fantasy world, in your dynasty leagues, Pollard holds value because he, one, has the potential to have standalone value. If Zeke goes down, he's an RB1 potential right away because of the offense he plays in and the explosiveness he's shown. He'll just gain value. Like I said, if he gets into free agency next year, he'll just gain value. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about here is being able to stay ahead of value and get out a year later at even value, or next year continue to add to that value, or find a diamond in the fucking rough. And maybe that's Tony Pollard who ends up on another team next year and turns out to be an RB1 for you. Losing Cooper is going to affect this offense a lot, period. It's too many vacated targets on one of the most pass-happy teams in the league. And those targets are going to go, or they're going to get supplemented elsewhere. CeeDee's going to get his, Schultz is going to get his. But then who? Right? Like a lot of people talking about Jalen Tolbert. Okay, well, I don't know that I believe in a rookie wide receiver that came from such a small school coming in and making a big impact, to the point of you forget that Michael Gallup is coming back. Like that's Michael Gallup's spot. But you got to then worry about when Michael Gallup comes back and he's coming back from that ACL, and how quickly he comes back and how effective he actually is. With that variable on the other side of the field of CeeDee, and considering who they're going to play in the slot, which was like Noah Brown or some guys like that. Maybe Simi Fehoko makes a play on this. I doubt it though.
Probably not Asher. He's just too lanky.
Yeah, so basically, and theory shows us in history that when vacated targets leave, those targets then get sprinkled out among the running backs. Well, Zeke has always been a target hog, and yeah, sure, he's probably going to be more of a target hog. What we have to wonder is that as Zeke gets older in his years, is he going to get to a point, or will it get to a point, where Mike McCarthy, the notorious split the backfield guy, says, we've got you for this many years, you're on this big-ass contract. If I break you and you're on a team for 2 years worthless to me, that sucks. So maybe they try to extend Zeke a little bit. I think that right now the way I see it is Pollard has the ability to match last year's rushing numbers and stack on top of his passing numbers. A couple more touchdowns sprinkled in here and there, and you have an RB.
Can I roll Pollard into the slot a little bit?
I don't know about all of that. No, I don't think so. There's a lot of people want to talk that up. A guy gets in the slot, but if you really look at the numbers, running backs don't go there a lot. So when somebody says, are they going to go to the slot? Well, okay, but how many routes actually are they going there, and how much more is it just like a clear linebacker route, right? There's not that many guys you can think of that have the talent to go out and play in the slot against a linebacker or a corner. Like Lev Bell used to do it. He was fucking awesome. But Tony Pollard isn't Le'Veon Bell, and Aaron Jones isn't Le'Veon Bell. And so a lot of these things where people are like lining up in the slot, well, yeah, in theory, as you're talking about, it's great because it's more routes, and you're actually out there running an important route, a more fantasy viable point wise route.
Yep.
But as far as it happens, it's not that much, right? Because those backs are either staying in to block, or if they're lining up out there, they're just like taking a step back route. So it's a psychotic mixture of average yards ran per route versus average yards per catch or target or wherever you want to go on it. And it never really shows that much in favor. These kind of guys, though, like Pollard, are guys where you know that when they're in the playing the 4 minute, right? The hurry up 4 minute end of the second quarter, end of the game, whatever. And Pollard's the guy that comes in and you see him catch 5 balls for 30 yards on the last drive of the game.
One of the last drives, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so that's where you get your points on these kind of guys. They're great flexes, right? Because think if Madison comes in and O'Connell decides he's going to kind of split the backfield a little bit, right? Like they did. Let's do more like a 60-40, and Dalvin's getting the heavy workload and the important stuff and, the trustworthy shit. But we're using some of that mundane work, and we're going to put it on Madison.
Yep.
And if Dallas employs the same thing, you could potentially have 2 running back 2s and 2 running back 1s on, those respective teams just like that. I mean, it's far-fetched. I'm just saying, like, there is a world where it could be possible.
Not going so much into like a starter handcuff, but more 1A, 1B, more of a shared workload.
I think it would more be a 1A, 1C, right? Like, who the lead running back is, right? Like, when you're done at the end of the year, you're seeing that, like last year with Zeke, he was RB8, right? And then Pollard was like RB28, 26, something like that, right? Like, you're going to see a clear disparity if they both stay healthy and play. Like, both these backs are still leading players of the backfields. I don't see a change of the guard there, and I don't see that in the future. That's why I say that I think Pollard and Madison both go in free agent.
Well, I think definitely Zeke's going to be pushing, for healthy, trying to make it one more good viable year.
He looked really damn good last year, right?
Until
until the PCL thing. And he's on the same path this year. Everybody's talking about how good he looks, and he does. He looks really good. I mean, he looks like Saquon Barkley does right now. You saw those pictures of him too, right?
Oh yeah.
Off the step a little bit. Holy crap, a beast. There's a sleeper for you guys. Go get that dude. Wow.
Yeah. I definitely see Pollard. Easy, one of the biggest handcuffs out there to have right now. It's just how long do you hold him though? Because his contract's coming up. He's going to be 26. I mean, how long do we hold that rope? Because that's the only problem I have with Pollard next year.
Yeah. Here's a good example.
I'm definitely holding them all for this year, but next year, where are we going with him?
Well, here's a good example of it. Follow Chase Edmonds' fantasy path of his value, right? As he's the backup in Arizona, and that's with Kenyon Drake there, and then he's the backup with Connor there. But he's always holding fantasy value, right? Like as a flex play, because he sees the important downs and touches to fantasy, right? Like he sees targets and he sees low box counts run, not the red zone, not with Edmonds, just, and I would say, so with guys like that, you really kind of just got to know when to let go of them, right? Like if you let go of Chase Edmonds last year, right at the beginning of the year, because you knew that was going to be a split backfield and you just kind of paced out before, you would be able to find a line where you could trade that guy off. I think Pollard's probably the same, unless he were to land like there's always a ebb and flow to when dynasty values are hitting and when trades are starting to spark and when guys are talking more about football and whatnot. And I think the best time in what I believe to be a spike in dynasty trading and all that kind of stuff is right a little bit before free agent, because there's a bunch of talk. You haven't lost a lot of them. Yeah, you haven't lost it.
Go.
Exactly, right? And everybody's talking them up about like the best fucking situation they could ever end up in. And people are hearing that like
this team, did you see that?
Yeah, exactly. So if you get in a situation like that where you're getting into like a bidding war because people are hyping him up, that's when I would trade him.
Yeah.
And who gives a fuck if he ends up in like the perfect situation that everybody was talking about? How much more value are you going to get out of it, right? Like once he lands, and everybody's going to pick apart where he lands. To me, that's these guys that you have any question marks about like that, right there. If they're a free agent and they're going to go talk to other teams, that month before actual free agency happens, that's when you should try to trade those guys on hype.
Yeah, contract guys, something I've kind of learned over the last couple of years, guys that are coming into their contract year, You buy them right after the season gets over. Like
Yeah.
you already know the team's probably going to pick them up.
Yeah.
You get them early because everybody's like, oh, what if they don't sign? Okay, I'll take them.
Yeah.
You just give them to me here, and it'll be okay.
Yeah. Take my hand. I got you.
Give them here. Grab it. Let's go. All right, I got Zamir White out of Vegas, rookie coming in this year. Why I picked him? Contract, coach. Josh Jacobs is in a prove-it year because they did not pick up his option. Kenyon Drake, his contract can be voided after this year. Brandon Bolden, 32, and he's signed through 2023.
Yeah, he came in to teach those guys that off.
But, they're going to save $2.5 million just by cutting them loose.
Yeah.
This Raider offense is going to be searching for a new identity with McDaniels coming in. There's a very good chance that picking up Zamir White is going to get them into that system. He's going to have the season to see how it works, to see how he can fit in. And I went back to watch some of his videos just as what did he do in college again? And the dude's a fucking hammer.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah. I mean, he's making cuts. You're like, okay, he's down at the – no, he got an extra 3 yards out of that. Okay. Oh, he got another 4 or 5 yards out of that. Jeez. There's a 1 touchdown run where it's like the guy hit him in the backfield. You're like, okay, he's done. Nope. Charged through, got like an 8-yard touchdown. Like, holy crap. And then I was like, all right, so this guy's just a short yard hammer. Nope. The guy's got 4.4 speed. He bust off a couple of 40, 50-yard runs. I'm like, oh. So this is definitely something that this Raider offense has been needing for a while. Something to get excited about from their running back. Josh Jacobs has been good. You can't fault him for being good. But he hasn't had that explosiveness. He hasn't had that dynamic play that they've needed from him by drafting him in the first round.
Yeah.
Unless Jacobs takes a real super friendly deal, Kenyon's 28. He's going to be the receiving back. But I think the future of this backfield is going to be Zamir White or Zeus.
Zeus is loose.
Yes, I was watching the videos of that. Like, Zeus! Oh my gosh! When did they call him Zeus?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this whole situation just screams Josh Jacobs' funeral. White, like you said, White's a bruiser he's got great burst and explosiveness that I don't think Jacobs has. Jacobs isn't a big play guy, and I think it's White's backfield next year. You can get him late. I traded away in a couple spots in a few leagues, and it was more for a need, right? Trade for need, draft for talent. Yeah. And looking back, it's kind of like shit. If I could just been patient for another year and held on to him, I think you got a good setup. The only downfall with Zeus here is if Josh McDaniels stays true to a committee backfield, that could be trouble. But if you look back to his time in Denver, he had just primetime backs, like not primetime backs, but like guys he was dedicated to, and those guys got carries. Like Sean Moreno, Ruben Rounds, I think, was there when he was there, and he's not afraid to go out of the goddamn box. Like he's the dude that got Tim Tebow to the playoffs, bro. So so I think
Garrett Blunt was also in one of McDaniel's offenses when he was on the Patriots.
Yep. So this could be a really cool offense to have a piece of. And these are the kind of pieces I want because investing in Jacobs is too much of a high price for me. Same with Devontae Adams. So next to Zeus, I'd say guys like Carr. You can get Carr cheaper. Those are another guys in the offense I think are great.
Which is crazy to me. I definitely see like borderline RB1 numbers for Carr and
QB1s, and then Zeus, like he's
you gotta wonder. QB1. Sorry,
you're good. You gotta wonder who. If Jacobs misses time, and he's always banged up, and he's missed time, is it Zeus's backfield, and does he actually end up starting to encroach more on Josh Jacobs' workload? Wasn't Josh Jacobs the one saying he wanted Kenyon Drake to get the ball more because I don't want to carry the ball that many times? You want to hear your fucking star running back say that?
Well, and then in the same breath, be like, well, I want to be more involved in the receiving game.
Yeah.
Touches, dude. You got to take them.
Yeah, D linemen, they don't hit you from fucking 3 yards away. Corners and safeties hit you for 10.
Linebackers get 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's the same damn thing, dude. Just take it like a man. But yeah, I like that. Love Zeus this year. Great rookie draft picks too. What's he like? Still in the 3rd round, or is he gone up?
Oh, he's right on the edge of the 2-3 turn now.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, you can get him mid-second round most of the time in rookie drafts, which is a good price. I mean, out of what this class is, this is going to be something that you're going to be hopeful for, is finding a guy like Zamir to come in and kind of have a little bit of a workload. I mean, he'll probably have some between the 40s carries here and there just to see what he can do as a rookie.
Damian Pierce.
But I mean, for the most part, unless there's an injury or something that happens, Zamir White's going to be the back next year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, so let's get on to my next guy. Now we're starting to get a little spicy, right?
Ooh,
getting it in there. We're dicing up the jalapenos, putting in the red pepper flakes, all that kind of stuff. Get the little.
Don't touch your eye. Don't touch your eye.
No. Make sure you wash your hands and then use a towel to go pee, because I've been there. That shit stung for hours. Okay, this is a little spicy, but just kind of follow along with me here on this, okay?
All right.
Because it's also realistic. Ernest Johnson, okay? He's not flashy.
He like third on his running back chart?
He's not flashy. Shit, he's even worse. He's not even a good athlete. Right? 4'8", 440. Right? This guy's not like a super gonna jump out of the gym, dunking in your face guy. He's not a dominant physical force, right? He's only like 5'11", 209 pounds. What he is, though, is a damn good NFL running back when given the opportunities. In a 3-game sample size, Johnson put up 66 carries, 368 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's a 5.57 yards per carry average.
That's over 20 carries a game.
Yeah, that's 22 carries a game. And 10 catches for 90 receiving yards. Like I said, the guy's not like a superior athlete. So, no, he's not a major player in the passing game. However, in one of the games, and I believe I wrote this down, in one of the games that Ernest Johnson took over the backfield when Hunt and Chubb were down, he had 19 carries for 99 yards and 7 catches on 8 targets for 58 yards. So, yeah, so low yards per catch. I get that. That's fine.
Well, it's a running back. I mean,
yeah, but in PPR, that's
7.5
for receptions. So keep that in mind. He's viable at doing it, okay?
That's 12 points just in receiving.
Yeah, playing behind a top-rated O-line for a run-first head coach, potentially playing in the same backfield as Deshaun Watson. I know, throw your fucking hands up, but if Deshaun Watson, with recent news, misses 4 games, right, and Kareem Hunt gets traded, or one of the two that Chubb and Hunt get hurt, and you have Ernest Johnson on your bench, and it's week 5, when all this culminates, you are going to be shit in the bed happy. Trust me. You know what you got out of left. I mean, how could you not be, right? You got to step up now. And I'm not saying you have to get Ernest Johnson if you're a Chubb owner or a Hunt owner, and you're trying to.
No, I don't think you need to handcuff it that directly.
Yeah, I don't believe he's an actual handcuff. I think he's just a good backup to get invested into.
He's outside the taxi squad range, isn't he? Yeah. He's on his 3rd year.
Yeah, you can't put him on taxi squad. He's old. He's been around for a little bit. Okay, but he ain't worth shit if Chubb or Hunt don't get hurt or traded. Right? Hunt doesn't get traded. He's worth fuck all.
His value is, I mean, you can grab him in one of the last rounds.
Yeah, he's worth fuck all. You're not going to get anything from him. You're not going to get any kind of a draft pick for him. There's people just going to make you drop him and run to the waiver wire when one of the guys did get hurt. Right. But he's also being talked about being on the roster bubble, which I don't believe, because I don't believe that the team puts a nearly $2.5 million restricted free agency tender on a guy that they're okay with cutting later on, especially once they could have left the tender on him and let him play under it. Instead, they signed him to the exact deal that the tender was, minus, I think it was 1.6 million of it is, wait, that's way too much. It's like 160,000 it was incentives. Either way. So he's getting his money. He's going to get paid. He's not going to get pushed off the roster from Demetric Felton. And people are talking about Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford's not going to push him off the roster either.
Nope.
Right. One of those two, I believe, they may take all 5 running backs in.
Which is crazy.
Healthy scratch a guy, right, and then kind of manipulate the 53-man roster.
I could see Felton getting moved out to wide receiver.
He already did that, and they told him he was coming back in. He's going to play straight running back. Right? So, fucking failure. You can't do it. Okay.
Change out of the tight end position.
just fuck. I don't know what to do. Switch it up.
Team out tight end.
Yeah. So Ernest signed a simple 1-year deal, like I was saying, maxed out at $2.4 million with incentives. Not a lot of investment financially for the Browns, but like I was saying, the act of placing a tender on Johnson speaks volumes, in my opinion. Now, As per our previous backups, DJ doesn't have much standalone value. He'll need someone ahead of him to either miss time or be traded to actually have any standalone value on his own, right? He has none.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There have been reports of the Browns shopping Hunt, but barring an injury in camp, I don't see the Browns dealing Hunt like the Rams last year with Akers and then making the trade for Sony when everybody knew he was kind of out there and it was a roster bubble kind of thing. Johnson probably won't have much value next year. He will be an unrestricted free agent and be free to go where he wants to. But there aren't a lot of teams that are bringing in 27-year-old running backs that don't have a lot of experience. Johnson's playing behind a great offensive line too, so you bring him in and kind of look at the stats and see like how much he's actually creating for himself versus how much is actually being given to him by that offensive line. So I see Johnson ended up in another committee next year in free agency. He doesn't really have a high value spike. If he were to become the lead back in Cleveland due to injuries or trade, he could be a weekly RB1 potential guy, and you're scooping up in the dirty dirt rounds of your startups or your rookie drafts, or he's already on your free agent. And don't even spend $1 a fab on him. Don't fucking worry about it.
Yep.
Trust me. Anybody who's watching this thinks I'm a fucking moron right now. But if they have him on their roster just sitting there and all of a sudden Chubb goes down and you run to your phone and you're like, where the fuck is Ernest Johnson? And I am fucking there smiling at you from my profile picture because he's on my roster. I don't want to hear about it. Although you're the one who stole all of them.
Yeah, I've got them all over the place.
Dude, I know.
I've absolutely
fucking scrolling through leagues like, are they really all on it?
What
I don't want to talk to you about
What I love is when you get a player like this and you're going through your leagues, you're like, where is that guy? You've looked through everybody's roster, you're like, oh, he's on mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, shit, he's on a taxi squad.
Oh, dude, I could totally trade these two guys and get that guy. Like, where is he?
I've done that so many times. I don't go scrolling looking for guys. I don't scroll looking for guys anymore. I go to the free agent search thing.
I just type in the player's name and just go straight from there.
I'm never doing 15-minute hunt down and find out. That guy's on your bench, dumbass. Yeah, he is. Shit.
Yeah, I'd have to say with Durness, like he's definitely one of those guys I love to have because you got him for absolutely just dirt cheap. Yeah. And his value can get you second, third round. If Chubb goes down, likely that guy's going to be hurting for a running back for those weeks.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want this guy? You can have him. I mean, it's not expensive, but for me, it's a total awesome, buy and then resale. So,
yeah. Dude was borderline RB1 in the games where he was the sole back. Right? Yep. Even in his worst rushing game, which was just 99 yards on 19 carries. Oh, my gosh.
No,
he caught the ball. Yeah, caught the ball 7 times for 58 yards. Right? I mean, my math might be off, but what'd you say? That was 12.8 points in fantasy receiving yards.
And then he had, 90 yards? Yeah, so 21 points, 0 touchdowns,
22.
right?
22 points change, 22-point change.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, so low-end RB1, middle-tier RB1, depending on the week.
That's numbers you expect out of CMC on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and that's a guy that you're – where's that guy?
Points from your running back. Phenomenal.
Yeah, and where's that guy on your depth chart, right? If you're really looking down through your roster, is he RB6? He RB7? Worse? It's a question. You totally ignored me.
Where is he on mine?
Yeah, where you got him?
He's usually sitting about 7 or 8.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Because it's one of those things I'm just waiting. He's one of those guys I'm just holding and waiting for value.
Yeah, it's very
much like Gus. I mean, Gus standalone value, absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody will. You can't get anything for Gus. They're like, no, he's coming from an ACL. He's 26-year-old. Okay, he's also on the Ravens offense and proven he can do amazing things. So, all right, I'll just hold on to him. No problem.
Those are great holds. Those are fucking fantastic holds because nobody's gonna pay you for what the guy is worth. And another beautiful part of it is if you maintain a watch list, which I recommend. Set up a watch list in all your leagues of guys you're following. Stay up on it when guys get picked up off of it. However you want to do it. I usually leave the guys on there because I just want to see the guys I know I'm interested in.
See who you started the year looking at and kind of where they finished.
Yeah, well, that and it kind of helps me track guys I like. If I don't like them anymore, I just take them off, right? But what I want is a list of guys in the NFL that I love for fantasy that I am interested in, following for free agency or trading for later. And it's a great platform to go back in and start looking at the guys that you have on your watch list and you see like, you know, an Adam Thielen, and you're like, well, I liked him at the beginning of the year, and he's still on such and such's team. It just kind of puts it all in perspective rather than like scanning through all the teams and looking at what fits.
Yep. You know what fits? AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon fits really well into rosters.
There's a lot of wide open jokes right there. I just
I don't like a lot of wide open things.
You fucking liar.
Anyways.
Anyways.
So, you know, AJ Dillon, you know, he's had performances, he's going to have touches, and the contracts just get him into a spot where you need to just hold on to him. He's going to have great value this year, but I mean, could be just absolute dominant workload next year. You know, performances Dillon has already shown he can have 4, 5, 6 targets a game. Often he's on it running 100% catch rate on all those, and that's with Aaron Jones playing. I mean, he's still showing that he can have a workload of 10, 15 carries, 4, 5, 6 targets, and that's sharing the workload. That's getting a red zone touches. That's getting goal line touches. I mean, they're not using these guys as 1A, 1B. They're just, okay, you're in. These are the plays you're going, and it's not really like, oh, third down play, they're going to pull this guy. They're not doing that. They're running these guys however they want to because they're both so interchangeable, and they're both so damn talented.
Just like two different styles of runners, though, you know.
Oh yeah, and so you know when the one guy's in, what he's more capable of, but he's still capable to run or receive.
Definitely, yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, when you've already brought this up, and we already know it's so true. When allotment of targets become available, a lot of it gets filtered down into the running backs, you know, check downs and things like that, because the wide receivers aren't in the spots where they're supposed to be. And I think that's going to happen a lot this year in Green Bay. Like, you're going to see a lot of pump fakes for Aaron Rodgers. Like, no, you're not supposed to be there. No, you're not supposed to be there. God damn it. And check down to the running back.
Yeah, dude. So over under, I'll set the line at 8.5 times that Aaron Rodgers loses his shit. Our cameras can see it, and he loses his shit on like Christian Watson.
Right? Oh yeah, I bet he breaks one of the tablets this year.
Oh, dude, guaranteed. That dude is he's retiring after this year. He's gonna be like, fuck this. This is stupid. I want Devontae back. Yeah,
I'm gonna go play with the Raiders.
Yeah. Okay. The Raiders, shut up.
Even if there's only 2 to 3 more targets a game, I think Dillon's going to pick some of those up, and that's going to be huge season-long stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it when you're looking at individual stats, you're like, oh, the guy got four receptions in a game, and you don't think anything of it. But we've got to remember, most of the time we're playing PPR now. Mm-hmm. That's 4 points.
Yeah, that's 40 yards.
Even if he only got half, you know, of what he should for the yardage, if he's getting 20 yards, that's 6 points. That's the same as a touchdown.
Yeah, buddy.
And you can't predict those, but you can predict when people are going to get some more volume, more catches, more yardage.
Yeah, you can pinpoint 4 for 20 a lot easier than you can pinpoint when a guy's going to score a touchdown, to be honest with you.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So Dillon's locked through the 23 season, rookie contract. After the 22 season, Aaron Jones' contract can be cut with a team-friendly deal. Like, look into it. Go Aaron Jones, OTC on your search engine. Go into Over the Cap. There's some great breakdowns of how the contract breaks out, and there's so much money they can save by just letting him go next year. I think it's around $10 million.
Yeah, gotta love Over the Cap. Badass website.
And Aaron Rodgers, contract, he hits for $31 million next year, $40 million in 24. Like, they're going to have to find ways to make sure that that cap space is available. Aaron Jones is going to be out. I mean, just because of the money. So cutting Aaron Jones after this year, they'll probably try to re-sign A.J. Dillon. You know, we were talking about contracts with Zeke and stuff. Dillon's not going to get a huge contract. I mean, it's Green Bay. We know how they work contracts usually. Their running backs, he might get a 2-year contract for a couple million a year, you know, 4, 5. That's going to be good. That's going to be a median, maybe above median contract for running back.
Think he's going to ask for more than that?
I mean, it'd be stupid not to ask for more, but
well, I'm just saying.
look at the future of that franchise, though.
Yeah.
Where are they going? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to keep playing that Brett Favre game of I'm going to retire. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to retire on you. No.
Yeah. Fucking A, he's going to. I think he will. And I think.
Well, and he already got his contract and he's paid. I mean.
Yeah. I think knowing the team was going to pay Aaron what they paid Aaron and then still had an offer on the table for Devontae Adams, he just wanted to go play elsewhere. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't like bad blood, which got blown out to the media. It wasn't that they couldn't come to a contract agreement. They had a contract that was
they had
very comparable to
the
the
same
Raiders.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very comparable to the Raiders deal. So, but he just wanted to leave. So they've prepared to pay both Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams exponentially more money. So,
I think what it was is he's getting older and he didn't want to play in the snow anymore.
Get
me down to Vegas where it's air conditioned.
Get me the fuck out. Practice outside. It's cold. I think the team was geared to know that the Rodgers contract and the Adams contract was going to screw him up a little bit.
Yeah.
And now they basically replaced the Adams contract with a Christian Watson contract, which is an early second-round contract. So it'll be 4 years and pretty low in median salary. I think it's only like a couple million a year.
Yeah, I think Christian Watson is definitely going to be something I probably target early in the offseason next year.
Yeah, or late this year, towards the end of the year, see if you can pick him off a team that is
before playoffs, somewhere around then.
Yeah, try to snag out before he has his blow up. Although a lot of teams nowadays kind of know how that shit happens. Like 8 weeks into the season, rookie wide receivers pop. So, and they cost too much right now. I'd almost wait for him to just have a suck year.
Yeah.
I mean, think about Michael Pittman in his rookie year and how well he did to where he is, then the second year and now how he's going into his third year. I could see that trajectory for Christian Watson. So what were you getting Michael Pittman for?
I expected to get Pittman to be higher. Like I've been doing some drafts. Like you're getting him 4th, 5th round sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, I mean he's a fucking value right now. But yeah, you think about where you picked him up is after that rookie year. I wonder what the trades were to get Michael Pittman from somebody.
Oh, you were getting like seconds, thirds, like
packages, seconds, thirds, maybe
for the next year. I mean, which is crazy to think that you just did a draft and you're paying next year's second for a guy that you just spent a second or a third on. Like,
yeah.
Well, sometimes that happens. I mean, that's the value of the guy's like, Yeah. You want to take the risk? Here you go. I'll just wait till next year.
So do you want me to go? I think I'm going to end up shortening up this diatribe I wrote about my last guy.
Do you want me to just go 2 in a row and let you finish on your guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. I like that.
All right. My last guy, he's somebody that a lot of people had going into the rookie draft as a high-ranked running back, Isaiah Spiller. We all know what happened at his 40 time, whether he got sick or COVID or buffet attack or whatever he wanted to claim to say that he ran slow.
I don't want to hear none of that shit. I got to run a fucking 5.2 right now, full of old country, buddy. Come on. I don't hear that shit.
But I think with Isaiah Spiller, what we really need to look at is the opportunity that he does have in front of him with the team that he came to. The contracts kind of around him and his age. Isaiah Spiller has a massive opportunity to really get the motor running as an NFL running back and run opposite of Eckler, to really spell him, to take some of that workload of rushing off of him. Probably going to handle some goal line work. I still think Eckler sees some, but I think Spiller is going to be able to handle some of that other workload so he's not having to take so much physical. I think that's what we're kind of looking at in the NFL now is these premier backs, CMC, Eckler, Dalvin. They're going to be probably spelled just a little bit just to take the physicality of the game away from them to try to prolong them the best they can. So I think that's a great spot for where Spiller's at coming into this offense. I mean, you got the turd fritters that they've drafted the last couple of years that have just done nothing in that backfield.
Double dip turd fritter.
Yeah, and they've just done absolutely nothing for the team.
Who was that?
Roundtree, Josh Jackson.
Justin Jackson. And there was another guy. Who's the guy who came from Miami, I thought.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, who?
Exactly. What? Oh.
That guy.
Hold on, let me go vet that for you. So he's going to get a lot of work even as his rookie year. If Eckler misses any time at all. He can catch, he can run, he could take over the lead majority of this back and really take on that lion's share workload, but he's not going to have to be the lone 3-down back. I mean, they're going to still rotate somebody in because he's a young guy.
Yeah.
But I really see that his workload is going to be mediocre for what they expect out of him, for what his position is going to be. But the fact that he's 20 years old and Eckler's contract is signed through 23, the dude's going to be 24 before he gets to the end of his rookie contract, and then still has 2 years before the big, running back plateau, the fall off. I mean, this guy's going to have a great opportunity. You can still get him mid-second round, probably going more closer to the early by the time we actually get to preseason and we actually see him on the actual NFL field. I think the value's there to go get this guy and just stash him. I mean, even in some of these drafts that I'm doing now, I'm grabbing him over a wide receiver that has, like Van Jefferson. Because if he does hit, his upside is going to be absolutely huge and off the charts for where you got him. And then he's ridiculously young. You're going to have so many years of him. You're going to get tired of him being on your roster.
I don't know about tired.
Yeah.
So I've grown to like the idea of Spiller, not so much the player.
Right.
But in drawing comparisons and trying to come up with potential likelihood of finishing product here, Spiller is in an offense that is comparable to what Texas A&M ran. Eckler is comparable to the younger running back that was there that was faster than shit that everybody compared Spiller to, and I can't remember his name. They have a decent quarterback, and that's an understatement for Herbert, of course, but A&M had a decent quarterback for college. And they're a play-it-fast type of offense. You put Spiller in that spot, like we've been saying, this position that they've wanted, that the Chargers wanted Roundtree and Justin Jackson and the guy we can't remember his name, that they've tried to get those guys to be was just like that, take that little bit of weight off of Eckler. But those are such valuable touches in an offense like this, especially in a situation like you're saying. You have the option, like, Eckler's been pounding it down there and he's been running you down from the 20. You guys are all the way down at the 5-yard line, and he's been on the field that whole time, and you're spelling because it just got tight now. Like, you've already gotten your fantasy points, but now we're going to throw the kid in there. And if you see, I would be surprised to see 8 touchdowns out of Spiller this year.
Yeah.
Probably gets 1 or 2 starts. I don't know. We can't really look in a glass ball and say if he's going to get the full carry, right? Like, does he see a 60% workload? That I don't know. But if he gets the opportunity, I think in the offense they're in, how it's geared, he could be a fucking steal. Especially in rookie drafts where you're getting him at. Hindsight, some of the stuff I looked at in rookie drafts I did prior, and the later rounds I was taking, or the later end of the first, I was taking Dameon Pierce, catching a bunch of fucking flack for it.
Yeah.
And then in some other drafts, I took guys like a falling George Pickens, which is a good pick, right? Like, wide receivers have have more longevity and all that kind of stuff. But hindsight, looking back, if I was sitting at late first, I would trade back and give up give up my option for Sky Moore or Christian Watson even to come back in the end of the or beginning of the second and a couple more draft picks back. Yeah. And get Spiller and Dameon Pierce in one run out of this draft class. I think those guys are going to be really sneaky guys.
Yeah.
I think you'd be surprised.
Well, and that's why I didn't put Pierce on my list for any of this, because I don't think he's going to be your backup.
No, I don't think so. Part of the max job right there, baby. Don't you touch that. Stay away from that job.
All right. Let's wrap.
Okay, so to wrap this up, and it's good that we're going to wrap this up quickly because I'm looking at this and it's like, wow. So I got off on this. So you know that, like, I'm passionate about this take. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I didn't realize it was this passionate.
My last running back is Ramondre Stevenson from the New England Patriots. Okay. Slow the fuck down. Hear me out. I get it. Okay. Nobody wants part of the New England backfield because it's a fucking nightmare. You never know who's really going to get all the looks, all that kind of stuff. Plus, they just drafted 2 guys and yada. Okay. I don't want to hear it. Break it down. Take it easy. Take a breath. Really see who's there. We'll start with James White, who's so old that his hips are already fucking him up. J.J. Taylor is just, he's not even a jag, right?
Tiny.
He hasn't even been able to pop in any way, shape, or form.
Well, he's like, what, 5'6"?
He's tiny as hell.
Yeah.
Pierre Strong, an absolute burner. But that was, I think, New England's goal this offseason was to add speed to the offense with Pierre Strong, Tyquan Thornton, those guys. They needed to infuse speed into the offense. Okay. So, and then Kevin Harris in the 6th round. Those guys are role players. Those guys aren't the Damian Harris and the Ramondre Stevenson of this team, which, as I just mentioned, brings me to Damian Harris, who, by the way, is on the last year of his rookie deal. Last year. I don't think there's a way they bring him back. That's why you saw Ramondre come on so strong at the end of the year.
When have you seen New England re-sign backs that weren't their receiving backs?
Yeah, exactly. They let all the bangers go. Harris leaves, and Ramondre comes in. Here's some numbers we can run in to kind of compare in one another, keeping in mind with these numbers that Ramondre Stevenson missed 5 games basically this year because his first ever NFL carry, he fucking fumbled the ball.
You
right?
don't do that.
Which is a Bill Belichick sin. You don't fucking fumble my football. And the kid gets benched for the next 4 fucking games. Didn't even see a snap, right? So 5 games off. Harris had a 4.6 yard per carry. Stevens had 4.56. That's a 0.4 yard difference. 929 rushing yards for Harris, 606 for Ramondre. A 323 yard difference. Now, mind you, these are season totals, okay? That's with 5 games less. Sorry. I'm talking about math. It's 3 games less. Harris missed 2. So we'll call it 3 games. So this is 3 games. I meant to make sure I made that note. I totally fucking talked over it. 202 carries for Harris, 133 for Stevens. It's a 69 carry difference. So all Ramondre needed to do was get 69 more carries at his average clip, and he would have had 323 yards. And all it comes down to is opportunity. That's the only difference between these 2 guys right now is opportunity, okay? If Stevenson doesn't fumble the ball and miss 5 games, he outperforms Harris this year and probably takes over the backfield. But because he was a rookie that screwed shit up, missed the first 5 games, and then was also used sparingly in the next 3 games, it wasn't until week 9 where he actually kind of got like his feeding under him a little bit. Okay. Other than the large difference in touchdowns, these are the 2 same players. I just think Harris was more reliable. He's been there. Bill believes in him, trusts him to get the ball. He got the goal line carries. There's nothing to say that this doesn't become a full-on 50-50 split with these 2 guys. And you need to be paying attention to it because of the price difference on both of them. To get Harris earlier, and where's he going now? 5th, 6th? I should have done fucking ADPs on this shit.
I don't even know if he's going that early.
I'm gonna say he's in the dead zone, just somewhere in that like 5th to 8th range of running back zone, right?
Your 0 RB range.
Yeah, and shit, Ramondre is way the hell down there. So the only difference between these guys, like I said, is the touchdowns. As far as like efficiency, available production off of opportunity, they're equal. We've all been down this road. I'll say it again. We've all been down the Bill Belichick road. But where you're going to invest in to this Pats running back, the same team who has people come out of fuck all nowhere to run for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns and then not be heard from again for the rest of the year, have got a guy in place right now that they drafted that is a bruiser, fits what they want to do, and he is the overtake for Harris when Harris is gone next year. The free agency. Go get Ramondre Stevenson, get him in there. He is fully fucking capable. Take a look at his stats and what he did against teams when Harris wasn't in. Look at the numbers that Harris had. One, when he first came back in week 9 and actually got some run, right? He got 10 carries, gained 62 yards against the Panthers. In week 10, he comes out. Harris is out. So it's just Stevenson running the show in week 10. 20 carries, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns against the Browns. And the Browns were a good defense last year against the run. He did it again in week 17, going 19 for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's kind of a piss poor team. But what we're saying is he's proven to be viable. He's a viable option in the passing game. He's not going to blow anything up in the passing game, but he can be used there. While splitting time with Harris and seeing just under 50% of the snap share from week 9 on, Ramondre paced Harris and wasn't seeing near the volume. So if, say, Harris gets hurt or proves ineffective or commits the ultimate Belichickian sin and fumbles,
how dare you?
In comes Ramondre, and you got a great flex or RB2 to put in your starting lineup.
I definitely like Ramondre. He's one of those guys that you had to get last year, stash him. You likely traded for him after he had those great couple preseason games. he had 200-yard games with his limited touches last year. How many guys had that?
Yeah.
I really like Ramondre. He's one of those guys that's kind of been like hushed because he's on the Patriots team.
Yeah.
Because I think the big argument is like, well, look at all the running backs they have. Okay, well, how many of those guys do you think are actually going to be viable?
Yeah, because 2 of them saw 335 carries.
Yeah.
Which I bet was a large bulk of the Patriots running game last year.
You know where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going into the second year, there's going to be more confidence in what Ramondre can do. So I don't know. I think it goes 50-50 for most of the rushing work between them.
I agree. And if any injury happens, and it's a good knock to Harris too. If you're playing and you have Harris, anything happens to Stevenson, and I think you're going to see the same numbers. I just think that's how the offense is built. I don't think Mac Jones is going to get Devontae Parker and Tyquan Thornton and all of a sudden be like studs chucking the ball out of the air, Burrow light.
All right. One little game here to finish it. What would it take for you to trade away Ramondre?
To trade away?
Yep.
It wouldn't take much. Like, in my opinion, he's like, how do you put it? He's an add-on guy in trades.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, most of these guys are. I mean, they're not a solid enough role where you're like, I need Pollard, unless you're a Zeke owner.
Yeah, but he adds enough value to the trade that it can sway like a tier. This is a trade I made. I had Stevenson on and it is I get Devontae Parker, DJ Chark, and Eno Benjamin. I gave away Ramondre Stevenson, Kyle Trask, and my 2023 fourth round pick, which should be low end fourth.
Well, a fourth, it depends. Because if it's a snake or if it's linear.
Oh, it'll be linear. Most dynasties are linear. So it'll be late.
It should be linear.
But that, to me, Stevenson has that ability where there's still always going to be the variable of Bill and the Patriots and how they run everything, right?
Yep.
And all we can do is try to put our best guess out there. And sure, every year I'm sure we go back to this same trough and fucking gobble up all the fucking barfed up food that Bill put in there for us. If you hit and you get the right guy and he makes a run, like Damian Harris won people playoff games last year.
Yeah, 15 touchdowns. You can't account for that when you're doing predictions.
Yeah, and you got to think Mac's going to get better. The offensive line will get better. They brought in more receiving weapons to kind of stretch the offense a little bit more. You got to question Josh McDaniels being gone, but I don't think he was the basis of why that run game was always effective. So yeah, I mean,
all right. What would it take for you to go get Ramondre? You're like, you know what? You know what? I'm going to go get him.
And I have to make an offer that I know is going to get accepted.
I
would just say, okay.
What's your starting point?
You know how I trade.
I know how you trade, but
yeah.
What would be a fair offer that you would go in with? Like, hey, I want Ramondre. Here's 23 thirds for Ramondre.
No, I feel like I was being an asshole if I did that.
Right.
I would say
that's what I'm saying. Basis of it, what would you go get?
A third with a potential wide receiver, top wide receiver 4, low end wide receiver 3 type of guy. Like, I feel like I'm giving you 2 dart throws for my dart throw.
Okay.
And then there's always the argument, right? Like, you're taking on the risk, right? I'm painting the rosy side of the picture that I think could happen. But I could also sit down and there's the beauty of fantasy football. I could sit down and put a piece together on why Ramondre is a terrible pick. If you have him on your team, you're dumber than hell, and stay away from the New England Patriots and all that kind of stuff.
But I think that can be said for most players. But I mean, with this, it's really you got to have something to hold on to. You got to have some spots on your bench because dynasty rosters are going to be larger than your redraft ones.
I mean, if you think about it, that's basically what I did here with the trade for Stevenson, right? I gave away a third round pick. We'll call a third round pick is Eno Benjamin. And wide receiver 4, low end wide receiver 3, that's either Parker or Chark. Yep. And then, Trask in the 4th to get it done, and I get another wide receiver in either Parker or Chark. So basically what I paid. It's Trask in the 4th for one of those 2, basically.
Yeah. So
I kind of fit in as far as what I traded him away to get versus what I would be willing to offer up to get him. But that's the beauty of Dynasty is it, if say you came looking to get Stevenson for me. I can guarantee you I didn't start with that deal with that guy. I got talked down to it.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
and that's how trades should work. I
Yeah.
just did a trade for CMC, and the guy's like, "Man, that was so hard." I'm like, "Well, good trades should have some work into it.
Yeah, it should hurt a little bit too. Like
It
each
should be
manager.
like, okay, this is a tough, but it's going to help it
Yeah,
both teams get better.
yeah. If
Like
it's
a
a
good trade,
blatant,
that's what it should be.
yeah, that's a good. Yeah, exactly, a good trade. And then there are trades that are like they're good trades, and one guy just feels way better about it because he's that hyped on guys. But
Yeah.
that kind of shit doesn't bother me. That's another thing that would like.
Yeah, trades definitely aren't about winning every trade. It's making your team better. I think that's enough for today. We're out of here.